Unit 2 Review, Problem 6. After an 8-hour fast, a person's blood glucose level in milligrams of glucose per deciliter of blood is normally distributed with a mean of 85 milligrams per deciliter and a standard deviation of 8.5 milligrams per deciliter. Part A. Hypoglycemia, or low blood sugar, is defined as a blood glucose level below 70 milligrams per deciliter after an 8-hour fast. According to this definition, what proportion of people in the population has hypoglycemia? Since the problem clearly states that a person's blood glucose level is normally distributed, we can use the normal command on the T84 calculator to find this result. The normal bell-shaped curve that defines the person's blood glucose level is centered at the mean mu of 85 milligrams per deciliter and has an average deviation or spread around this of sigma equals 8.5 milligrams per deciliter. These are just two of the numbers we need to answer this question. The normal CDF command on the T84 calculator requires us to know the mean and standard deviation, but also requires us to know the interval of the question we seek, that is the lower and upper value of the bell-shaped curve that we're trying to calculate the proportion or probability for. To do this, we look at the question. Here, the proportion of people in the population that have hypoglycemia, according to this definition, are those who have a blood glucose level below 70 milligrams per deciliter. 70 falls below the mean of 85. And the area below 70 would be everything below or to the left of 70, all the way to the lowest or minimum glucose level. If you don't know the minimum value in a normal distribution problem, you can use the calculator approximation for negative infinity by entering in a negative 9 EE99. But in this case, we can't have negative blood glucose levels, so the minimum or lowest blood glucose level would be 0. So now we have the interval we seek. The lower level is 0 and the upper level is 70. Together with the mean of 85 and the standard deviation of 8.5, we could use the normal CDF command to calculate our answer. To get to the normal CDF command, we press second, vars, arrow down till you get to the normal CDF command, press enter to select. Then we enter the lower value of 0, comma, the upper value of 70, comma, the mean of 85, comma, and the standard deviation of 8.5. Close parenthesis, enter, gives us our result of 0.0388. Because the 8 is over 5, we round the 8 up to a 9 and say that the decimal answer is 0.039, or 3.9%. So now we could answer the question. According to this definition, about 3.9% of people in the population has hypoglycemia, or low blood sugar. Now for part B. Would it be unusual for a person to have a blood glucose level between 90 and 100 milligrams per deciliter after an 8-hour fast? Well, statistically speaking, an event is considered to be unusual when the probability of that event occurring is 5% or less. So to answer this question, is it unusual, we need to calculate the probability of a person having a blood glucose level between 90 and 100 milligrams per deciliter. We already established that the blood glucose level follows a normal distribution with a mean of 85 and a standard deviation of 8.5. So we could use the normal CDF command to calculate this probability. The lower and upper values are determined from the question. Between 90 on the low end and 100 on the upper end defines our interval. So using these values of 90 as the low, 100 as the upper, 85 is the mean, and 8.5 are the standard deviation, we can enter those into our normal CDF command by pressing second vars to get to the distribution menu, arrow down to the normal CDF command, press enter, then type in 90, 100, 85, 8.5, close parenthesis, and press enter. We get the decimal answer of 0.2393. And since 3 is less than 5, this just rounds to 0.239 decimal, or 23.9%. Now, 23.9% is bigger than 5%, not less than. So we can answer the question. Would it be unusual for a person to have a blood glucose level between 90 and 100 milligrams per deciliter after an 8-hour fast? The answer is no. It would not be unusual for a person to have a blood glucose level between 90 and 100 milligrams per deciliter after an 8-hour fast, since the probability that this would occur, 23.9%, is not 5% or less.